We believe that exercise forms the basis of good and sustainable health. But what about marathon runners? Marathons are a super form of exercise that require a very specific set of rules in terms of diet, rest, and training. In this video, we're going to be looking at how marathon runners are able to perform at such a high level. Hello and welcome to 5 Pillars Health, the channel where we show you how to get healthy and stay healthy through the 5 pillars of sleep, hydration, nutrition, sunlight, and movement. The following is a general outline of what a Boston Marathon runner or winner should do in terms of their diet across the entire year, not just during the race. Focus on a balanced and nutrition-dense diet. An elite runner or winner of the Boston Marathon would focus on consuming a well-balanced and nutrient-dense diet throughout the year. The diet would be high in complex carbohydrates, lean protein, healthy fats, and a variety of fruits and vegetables. Carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are a critical source of energy for runners, especially for marathon runners because they need a steady supply of glucose in the form of stored glycogen. The easiest way to store glycogen is by eating lots of carbohydrates. When people think of carbs, they think of pizza and bread, but carbohydrates can also be in the form of fruit and fruit juices, honey, and rice. Elite runners or winners would typically consume a diet that is high in complex carbohydrates, which would be received by the body as glucose and then stored as glycogen. We at 5 Pillars recommend getting your carbohydrate source from whole foods like fermented sourdough wheat products, rice, fruit, raw honey and maple syrups, and raw dairy. Many runners keep sachets of glucose to snack on whilst running to maintain their supply of energy. Glucose is the body's main source of energy and its preferred source. Most people need a steady supply to maintain the body's everyday functions. Runners, and many other athletes, need even more than the average person because they frequently burn through a lot more energy. Prioritize protein for recovery and repair. Protein is essential for muscle repair and recovery, and elite runners or winners consume adequate amounts of protein to support their training and recovery. Protein sources include lean meats, poultry, fish, eggs, and plant-based sources such as beans, legumes, and nuts. Ideally, protein from animal sources is the most bioavailable and complete. If protein sources are incomplete, they cannot be used by the body. If you prefer vegetarian sources of protein, try dairy products like milk and cheese or tofu and quinoa, as they are complete proteins. The average woman should be consuming 100 grams of protein per day, whilst men should be taking in 120 grams. Athletes should up that amount, as they usually have more muscle mass and therefore more protein is needed to maintain that muscle mass. Female athletes should be taking in 130 grams a day, whilst male athletes should aim for a baseline of 150 grams. Hydration is key. Proper hydration is crucial for even the most sedentary person, as ancestrally, our water supply was rich in minerals and electrolytes. Nowadays, our water is so heavily treated that sodium, potassium, calcium, and magnesium are missing and can cause a whole bunch of issues from skin problems to a sluggish liver. Elite runners or winners of the Boston Marathon would have to consume more electrolyte-rich drinks because of how much they sweat. Water is not enough to maintain hydration. Adding lemon slices, cucumber, and salt to water bottles is a good start. Fresh fruit and fruit juices are also replete with minerals, and sports drinks are geared at being particularly electrolyte-rich. Unfortunately, most sports drinks are filled with artificial sweeteners, sugars, and colorants, which can be inflammatory and are generally not a good idea if optimal health is your goal. Natural electrolyte sachets are available that have clean ingredients and can be added to bottles of water. Monitor caloric intake. While marathon training requires a high intake of calories, elite runners or winners monitor their caloric intake to ensure they do not consume excess calories that could lead to weight gain, as remaining lean allows them to run and compete better. Making sure you eat a diet focused on whole, unprocessed foods will help with intuitive eating, and make sure you reach satiety without overdoing any of the food groups. Incorporate superfoods. Some elite runners or winners of the Boston Marathon would incorporate superfoods into their diet. These include foods such as chia seeds, turmeric, beetroot, and other nutrient-rich foods that have anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. Superfoods don't have to be expensive, and it's a wonderful way to make sure you have more energy, mental clarity, and a better immune system, so you don't have to miss out on any practices or events. Common superfoods include blueberries, matcha, and pure cacao products. Tapering diet. In the weeks leading up to the Boston Marathon, elite runners or winners would typically adjust their diet to include more carbohydrates to help them store glycogen in their muscles. This practice, known as tapering, can help runners maintain their energy levels during the marathon. We're now going to look at what some of the elite marathon runners are doing in terms of diet to keep them at their winning pace. Becky Wade likes the idea of intuitive eating and listening to her body in terms of cravings. She likes steak, fruit, scrambled eggs, and nut butters, and tends to eat the same sorts of food every day, focusing on natural, unprocessed, and a lot of variety. Her tip for runners is a steady stream of calories, making sure a source of fuel is always coming in. She is also sponsored by a few companies that supply her with snack bars, and these snack bars are as natural and unprocessed as possible. Terilyn Adams likes to prize convenience when it comes to her diet. She likes to eat the same things over and over again because it requires less thinking. She also suffers from stomach sensitivities, especially when her training becomes more intense. She, like Becky, prefers to stay away from heavily processed carbs like white breads and crackers, etc. She also likes to make use of apps like Inside Tracker to help identify any nutritional gaps in her daily diet. She makes sure to take in enough carbohydrates, and her rule of thumb is 4 grams per pound of body weight, or 55 to 65% of her calories, which she says is ideal for endurance athletes. Desiree Linden tailors her diet according to which phase of her training she is in. She also likes to follow a carb-heavy diet, but makes sure to differentiate between carbohydrates with fiber and carbohydrates without, as too much fiber makes her feel heavy and takes up space which could be used for more food. Fiber-heavy foods can still sit in her stomach the next day, and she tries to avoid having her body still digesting food while she's trying to focus on a run. She also likes to treat herself to a celebration meal after a big run, which will comprise whatever it is she's craving. She also makes sure to finish eating her big meals at least 3 hours before a big run. She also focuses on hydration and makes sure to drink 6 to 8 ounces of water every 20 minutes. If you're enjoying this video, please tap the like button. It helps us out a huge amount. In conclusion, an elite runner or winner of the Boston Marathon would consume a well-balanced and nutrient-dense diet throughout the year, with a focus on carbohydrates for energy, protein for recovery, and hydration. They would monitor their caloric intake and incorporate superfoods into their diet while tapering their diet in the weeks leading up to the marathon. Do you run marathons, or do you know anyone who does? Tag them in the comments below and share what works for you.